Greetings from the GM meetings, AJ Castavell says, where AJ Preller says he thinks the Padres are somewhat close to a new managerial hire. We'll make a decision here at some point, AJ said. I can't say it'll be in the next 24 hours, but I would say over the course of the weekend into the early part of next week. Well, my takeaway was from that was, yeah, that's classic AJ Preller. He's not going to give you an answer. I guess he gave you a rough timeline of an answer, but I mean, we'll make a decision here at some point. I'm glad you're going to make a decision at some point. Yeah, awesome. You're going to make a decision at some point. That's great. Good you're not going to be without a manager in 2024. Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, I think that a manager probably is going to get hired on I would probably, if I had to bet a certain day, I would say Friday. GM meetings end today. Preller's back in San Diego tonight, maybe. Who knows if he's like talking to David Ross tomorrow or he's talking to Phil Nevin. We haven't really heard anything about Phil Nevin. Maybe he's having additional interviews. What could be the holdup here? I think there's multiple things that could be the holdup. GM meetings, no one is competing for Ryan Flaherty or Mike Schilt or Phil Nevin. Or David Ross, maybe David Ross, but it feels like the main guys here, Benji Gill, Ryan Flaherty, Mike Schilt, no one's competing for those guys. So you can take your time. And I think what could be holding it up, like GM meetings, yes, that's one thing. You can hold it off because no one's competing. Go have those conversations with the agents, other teams about trades, free agency, because the roster is the most important thing. I know the manager is getting a lot of the spotlight, and it's an important thing, but the most important thing is the dudes that are going to be standing in the batter's box, the guy that's going to be on the mound. That's the most important thing here. So that's holding something up. The GM meeting should have priority over the manager right now. Some people don't like that opinion, but I think that's the right opinion. They should have priority, especially when the guys that you're talking to aren't like being talked to by other clubs, right? Another thing is maybe the coaching staff. Maybe the Padres want Ryan Flaherty to be the manager, and they're trying to convince Mike Schilt to be a bench coach or something. Or they want Benji Gill, and they're convincing Ryan Flaherty and Mike Schilt to stay on as coaches. Or they want Mike Schilt, and they're convincing Gill and Flaherty to be coaches. Because Ron Washington, he was hired as the Angels manager, and Benji Gill was not reported by Bob Nightingale to be on that coaching staff. There's already a bunch of names that are being put out there about guys on his coaching staff. Benji Gill is not one of those names. So maybe AJ Preller is trying to get Benji to come on to the coaching staff. David Ross, maybe a David Ross conversation has yet to happen, so they're waiting on that before they make a decision. Maybe they want David Ross to be part of the coaching staff and they already know their manager, so they're trying to convince David Ross to be a part of the coaching staff. Who knows what's happening here? But I'm just throwing those out there as possible things here that could be holding it up. You know, potential conversations that haven't been had, the GM meetings, coaching staff. Now, there's some times where guys, you hire the manager and then you deal with the coaching staff later. But with the way that this is, they might want to make sure that someone is willing to be a coach before they hire a manager, or they might want to make that guy the manager because they know that the guy that they wanted to hire as manager, he'd still be willing to be a coach on the staff anyway. So maybe they're just trying to get the best coaching staff available, guys that they like. I don't know. I think most of it is the GM meetings. Most of it is that's why things are being held up right now.